Experts say we are barreling toward another dangerous spike. But the one we're talking about now is not COVID, but a consequence of it. Starting tonight, WDRB News will take a close look at how the pandemic is hurting our mental health. In this special assignment, WDRB's Chad Mills and photojournalist Dalton Reinhardt explore how this quiet crisis is taking a toll in our community.
With each drop of water,
mental health is already a subject that is so taboo.
The water level rises.
We used to think that people who had depression were crazy.
The glass can fit a lot, but there is a limit. The glass can only take so much.
Like a huge mental decline just because we can't see our families. We can't go to our favorite places.
Eventually,
it wasn't his time to go.
One little drop.
He didn't leave a note. We had no reasoning.
Can be just enough.
This was a man who was haunted and felt like that was his only option.
Overflow.
All she could choke out was "Dad's dead." And everything froze. The world stopped.
A little creek in Georgetown, Indiana.
We loved to go crawdad fishing. Any summer day, if we weren't out playing kickball with the neighborhood kids, we would be knee deep in the water, digging for crawdads.
It's here where two sisters say a stream of memories with their father began.
Yep.
Ashley Skaggs is the firstborn.
This one is me.
I think this page is just you.
Brooke, the younger sister.
Brooke hated getting photos taken, so she's got her arms crossed and she's upset.
And Tony Skaggs, their father.
On Saturdays, he would promise to take us to the drive-in if we would come fishing with him.
Work and travel were important to him, but NASCAR, IU basketball, and fishing were his passions.
I think our relationship got stronger as we got older.
But then 2020, a pandemic that muddied the waters of every facet of work life.
He was very work-oriented, so that's where a lot of the struggle came from for him.
And home life, too.
It made things harder. It made things to where we couldn't see him as much.
And Tony Skaggs changed.
We saw his mental health take a decline. Something that we had never seen before.
First, there was a sudden, unexpected trip to the ER.
I remember going to see him afterwards, and he was nothing like I'd ever seen before.
And then on July 3rd, there was a phone call. Two of them. One to Ashley and another to Brooke.
I couldn't say anything. I couldn't even utter a word.
Skaggs had died by suicide.
It was a very rough night.
There was no note, no explanation. So the two daughters blamed themselves.
Did we do something or say something, or was there something we could have done? Could we have stopped this?
Actually, I am myself a attempt survivor. I have a survivor of multiple suicide attempts myself.
But Geneva Robinson bridged those troubled waters.
I was able to get the help that I needed at the time I needed it most, and that made all the difference in the world.
So now she helps others do the same at 7 county services, which gives mental health help to Louisville and 6 surrounding counties. And she says 2020 and 2021 have brought an unprecedented surge here and elsewhere. In 2020, in Jefferson County, 7,842 calls were made to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, a 100% increase from pre-pandemic 2019. And there was a 142% increase in callers considered to be at imminent risk of suicide. Mental health screenings more than tripled in Kentucky in 2020. In Indiana, calls to the suicide line were also up by 5%. And while the number of suicides in Kentucky remained consistent with previous years, Robinson offers a dire warning: post-COVID mental health crisis.
So I think we actually have not even seen the peak yet of folks actually being able to feel and start to deal with the emotional impact the last year has brought.
Robinson says her often forgotten industry needs more help, more phone lines, more funding. In the meantime, Ashley and Brooke Skaggs have suggestions to immediately try to help someone who may be struggling. For starters, tough conversations with friends, family members, and neighbors.
Mental health is not something that is talked about enough.
More hugs and I love yous won't hurt either.
Stop strangers on the street and tell them, "You look really nice," or "I love your tie." We are lacking that kindness in the world.
Ashley's message is heartfelt, deeply personal. Last year, she had her own suicidal thoughts.
And the thought popped into my head, you could just go in and swallow a bottle of pills and it would be over.
Coincidentally, just one night before her father died by suicide.
That was a shock to the system that I was in the same mental state that he was in, that I was sharing that mental state with him. And admitting that I needed help became even more pertinent.
Now, with their dad's ashes always nearby and the memories with him still flowing through their hearts, these sisters hope to help others avoid the same fate. Drop by drop,
Somebody cares about you,
they hope to prevent other cups
and somebody's going to miss you a lot.
from overflowing. If you need help, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's at 1-800-273-TALK. Experts want you to know that you're not alone. And there are warning signs to determine if a loved one is at risk. We have some of them right here. Talk about hopelessness, feeling trapped or unbearable pain. That's one sign. Talk about being a burden to others. Increased use of drugs or alcohol, sleeping too much or too little, and extreme mood swings are just a few of the things to look out for. Right now on WDRB.com, Marcus Green has more in-depth reporting on this quiet crisis. Chad Mills, WDRB News.